So, Alice, welcome to my channel.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Kind of tired, but still here.
Today, I want to talk with you about your multicultural, your culture, the place of the woman in your country, your experiences through these both countries. I want to listen from your side. What is your
Mhm.
experiences? What is your expectations? Uh, what did you go through till this age? I want
Mhm.
to learn this from you, and
Yeah.
also I want to share this experience with the other people as well. So
Mhm.
again, welcome to my channel,
Thank you.
and let's start with the questions if you want.
All right. Well,
Okay.
I think a little background with the multicultural should be said, which is my parents are Cantonese, which is basically like Chinese culture, but I grew up in Taiwan, which is a little bit different, but a lot of overlap. Uh, But growing up in Taiwan, I actually attended an American school. So even though I was in Taiwan, I was surrounded by American culture. And
Mhm.
in that American school, there were a lot of other students from other countries. So that's why I would call it the multicultural like background childhood that I had. So growing up, I can currently speak Cantonese, Mandarin, and English fluently. Cantonese and Mandarin are a little bit different, but you'll hear Mandarin more often now than Cantonese. And specifically Taiwan, their main language that they speak is also Mandarin, Chinese, but they have a different dialect, which is Taiwanese, that people kind of like have a misconception about. So Taiwanese is more commonly spoken in the southern rural areas. I'm not very good at it. I don't really understand it. I can just say like like I don't understand or like I don't get it. 关系 like I'm an American and that's it. um, but yeah,
Are they questioning you because like you have Asian face and
it,
everything? They are saying, "How are you American? Like you look like
uh,
Chinese."
it's more like they speak Mandarin and they understand Mandarin, but the older people they speak
Mm.
Taiwanese. Yeah, so it's like a where do you live? So I live in more the central city of Taiwan, and so earlier on there were more people who spoke Taiwanese. Now there aren't as many because it's like slowly modernizing. Yeah, but if you
Mm.
go more south of Taiwan, there's going to be a lot more Taiwanese speakers. Yeah.
Is there
Um,
English speakers as well? Like, for example, as a tourist, I went there. With English, can I
yeah.
survive?
So yes, you can survive. That's the final answer. But I'd say that's more because Taiwan is such a tourist friendly island. It's honestly I recommend one of the best easiest traveling like island ever. You get a little bit of everything, like from city to mountain area to beaches. The weather is mostly tropical. But you get like the mountainy vibes or like the city vibes. There's honestly like a little bit of everything. So I really recommend Taiwan as like a
Okay.
traveling destination. Yeah. In terms of like religion, I think mostly they are Taoist or Buddhist. Those are the two main religions that I at least like I know or am aware of. I can't really say much about the religion because I actually attended a Christian missionary school. So my family's Christian, we're Christianity. So mine was interesting because it was a missionary school, so they had students whose families were like missionaries. So the students would live in dorms at our school while their parents would do missionary work elsewhere. So that's with religion in terms of Taiwan. In terms of popular things, I'd say eating.
Eating.
Yeah, eating. The street food is like the best part of everything. Like even just
Even in China,
local.
it's like same. Like street
Hmm.
food is really popular. I guess
Oh
that's
yeah,
like really. I guess rather than China, it's kind of like Asian culture generally. In Korea, it's same. In Japan, it's same.
yeah. Huge
There's lots
huge
of
food culture.
yeah. There's
Yeah.
big huge food culture. I agree. I
Hmm.
agree about that.
Yeah.
So
Um,
what's the popular things in your country?
I mean, number one, gotta say beef noodle soup.
Oh,
That's like our go-to. Like my sister and I, when we went back, we would eat it almost every other meal. um, you can get that at a pretty famous place called 春水堂, which is the supposed origination of boba or milk tea with pearls, like however
yes.
you want to
Yes,
call it.
you love it a lot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's part of you.
Yeah, it's part of everything. Like you just have to go there. Yeah, like I grew up with boba, like drinking boba once or twice a day, and then when I moved to the States, it was just something that you could not replace. And it's so cheap over there too compared to the
Also, like
States.
in Taiwan, it's also popular, like
Oh
bubble
yes,
tea.
yes,
Because I thought,
definitely.
like, I don't know, like from my perspective, I see
Uh-huh.
bubble tea as a, how can I say, American thing. I don't know. I take it in
uh
that way.
Oh,
Uh,
that's interesting. Yeah, no, I can see how it seems to be Americanized, but no, like definitely the chain, they have their own chain stores and everything. So tea definitely originated from Taiwan. It's super big in Taiwan. The focus, I would say, is a little different. Taiwan, they definitely focus more on the tea aspect of it. There's more variety on the tea aspect. I think in the States, they focus more on the fruity part because that's what entices other like foreigners and or non-Chinese,
mm,
even just non like local Chinese, I guess. They yeah, it's just like sweeter. It's easier to accept because
yeah,
even yeah, because even like the missionary people that I grew up with back then when it wasn't as popular, they had difficulty like understanding the concept of boba. Like it was called pearls back then, but you know they would call
mm.
it frog eggs, and it was like, okay, that's not
Wow.
appetizing.
Wow.
You know, just like let's
I
not.
didn't know that, but it makes
Yeah,
sense. It makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. So you know, it could it wasn't like if it's not something that's like a modern thing or modern concept, then it could be unappetizing.
So, like, where is the your American side is coming from? You said your dad is from Hong Kong. Did I say
Yeah.
right?
So my dad is from Macau, which has Portuguese influences, and then my mom is from Hong Kong, which has British influences. Yeah. So it's complicated.
So, how about the, how can I say, like, because you're a woman,
Yeah.
how was how was to be a woman in these cultures? Like, you can also compare with America. You can also compare with
Uh-huh.
Taiwan or China,
Yeah.
China itself. Mainland
Uh-huh.
China.
So I think what's interesting about Taiwan, and this kind of comes from the cultural part of what I was trying to describe earlier. I guess I should start. Like I found a interesting stat where similar to Japan, Taiwan also had a low pregnancy, low birth rate. And part of that attributes to how independent and career focused the women are in Taiwan. And I think the difference between Japan and Taiwan in this aspect is that Taiwan is heavily influenced by Western, very specifically US culture. And so part of the whole like US culture is independence, woman's strength, just standing up for yourself. I think the women in Taiwan always have a need to prove something. And I think that comes from the Chinese cultural aspect of it. Because in Chinese culture, there's more Chinese oppression. I use that word lightly, but they expect like certain roles from women, right? Like to be ladylike. I mean, that's the reason why I went to ballet class because I would run around as a kid, and my mom wanted me to be more ladylike. Like I spoke too loud, I need to speak less. We're expected certain roles, and as a firstborn son or a son in general, like I don't want to say they had it easier, just different expectations. They were allowed certain uh choices and abilities and options. So a lot of the women that I've met in college, they're a lot, in my opinion, they had to fight for that position. they had to fight hard. So they're strong. They know what they want. They're capable people. They're strong, independent women. Like honestly speaking, because they have to fight their family for it. You know, like culture for it. Economy less so now because it is opening up. But yeah, versus like some of the guys that I met in the college areas, let's just say they were just textbook, and then they would like put out a demand and then expect the women to take care of it. So I heard like a lot of complaints from the girl, like, man, they're so incapable, but it's not incapable. They're just lazy, really. So whatever was beauty standards before from China is now more heavily towards Western world beauty. So that's another interesting thing with like my experience as like a woman there. I didn't find myself attractive growing up because I had like thick legs as I played soccer. My hips were larger, so I had a bigger butt, and then I was more flat chested. And in general, like you could say the Chinese guys, I think most people would agree, are looking for a big chested girl. But then, and so like in the past in Taiwan, I never felt really attractive. Clothes didn't fit me. So it wasn't until I came to USA that I felt kind of attractive, like clothes kind of fit me. I had like comfortable bras, because like before, like the bras sucked. Like they would always dig in, and they're always like, every bra in Taiwan is like cushioned. Like there's no like non-cushioned ones, except now it's different, but before I couldn't buy any. Yeah, so it was really uncomfortable. So it wasn't until I came to like USA before I was like comfortable in clothing. And then I would like, now that I was able to fit in clothes, like specifically like my pants, you know, I had like small waists but like my thighs were really big, so I had to go up a size in Taiwan. So I had to wear a lot of belts. They were bulky, they were long. But in the States, you know, they had stretchy jeans, they had stretchy pants, and I was able to find like skirts that actually fit my waist size as well as my hip size, and like contours with it, you know. And so before moving to the States, I wouldn't wear any skirts at all because I felt ugly in them. But then after coming to the States, I like tried a few things out, and even like shorts, I was very like wary to try. And it wasn't until after like 2-3 years and around, you know, friendly, encouraging people that I slowly grew confident. And luckily that was around the era where with Western world, you know, booties were the thing. So I looked out there. Yeah.
So lastly, my last question, what would you suggest to the people, like to the tourists which wants to travel your country, to the Taiwan? What would you suggest them?
Use Taipei as your base. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Eat all the food that you want to try that smells good. For the most part, if it smells bad, most people don't like it. So I think it's a pretty good attestation. Like, try it if you can, but yeah, if you don't like the smell, you probably are not gonna like it.
Thank you for your knowledge, for your experiences, Alice.
Yeah, of course.
It was really nice to have your company.
So it's hard to tell you a specific culture when I've been like influenced by so many, and then a lot of them, like even my influences aren't quite sure. So a lot of it is like to the best of my knowledge. And you know, I'm sorry if I like misspoke on certain cultures, because I'm sure like someone might think differently or have different experiences. But yeah, like the best way I can say is I was affected by a lot of different cultures, and I just enjoy all the cultures. And yeah, that's how I approach it. But Taiwan is kind of like a nice pot for all of that.
Yes. Yeah. Like that's the part of our channel. Like, to be honest, like it's not about cultural itself. It's about how you experience the culture itself in your own life. You know, that's what we want to learn. So even though if other people experience something else, that doesn't change your experience end of the day. You know, it doesn't change your perspective. So we are totally fine with it.
I hope I was helpful.
Thank you. 谢谢。
别客气，别客气。